Good morning, everyone. Alright, today we will cover the last two chapters. So I will do chapter 12 first, which is about information system development. And then after that, we talk about the information system management, the chapter 11. So we'll be waiting some more time for some students late. So last time we talked about the information security, and we have some quiz. So now by waiting for some students coming, we will have some quiz about the chapter 9. Okay, so now I will send out some quiz for the chapter 9, and you can take time to do that. So this is a quiz for chapter number 9, part 2. Okay, ready? now more question on chapter number 9. Okay, and more. So that's for the chapter number 9, business intelligence. And then now we come move forward for the chapter number 10, the information system security. And then now more question on chapter 10, session number 1. question for session number 2 of chapter 10. Alright, so now we have question for chapter 1. Please submit your work and gallery. Alright, one more question for chapter 1. So that's for some old chapter we covered so far, and then we have some more questions for you guys to watch this question. Okay, I have some problem. All right, I do resend the question for one more question for chapter 1. Okay, hello. Okay, so okay. Alright. Um, so we will have more questions for on the channel with it, and then I will be sending more earlier in the meeting. So remember next time join the class earlier on time. That's in order to redo the quiz if you want to, or in case you see that you have been doing so good so far, then you not need to redo the quiz. Okay. We only need like 2 correct answers for each chapter. So in case you do multiple times, and then you have like more than 2 correct answers, and you do not need to do more, right? with the chapter for today's meeting. The first one will be chapter 12. I'm not doing the chapter 11 first because I want to keep it for the after we're done with the chapter 12, which is about the information system development, and then after that we learn how to manage it. Okay, so information system development simply like a step that we try to set up, okay, to have a system in the organization, and the next step will be how to handle it, how to manage it. Alright, so that's why I put the chapter 11 next to the chapter 12. So in this chapter 12, we talk about what is the development of an information system, and then like as a business manager, how can we contribute to that step? Okay, contribute to that step. Okay, so we so far learned about the information system and use in the company, in the organization, and we know how important the it is, right? And now, in order to have it installed, set up in the company or in the organization, what should we do? And remember that the way we do the information system may be like different from organization to organization. For some like very big one, like or like big tech or big company, this work somehow look easy, right? Easier than for the new or startup companies or organization. So we need to have multiple approach for setting up the information systems. Okay, the problem here is because of the time and the budget we have, and also for some specific strategy that we do in the business. Okay. Alright, so here we have some example of doing for a startup, setting up an information system, and because they are a small company, maybe a small a startup one, and then they don't have like a lot of time or very strong in budget, so they do they need to have the information set up in case like at a low cost, right? And then but can support the need, or can help them with the current work, and then day by day after they run the business for a while, then they will have some more and more, and then they try to invest back to the information system, and they can like make the system like larger, right? So here we will talk about like two common approach for information system development, and for these approaches, how can we contribute as a business manager, right? Okay, so this is some example of a problem with the organization when setting up the information system, and we talk about the Scrum, the last one here, telling that this is the approach. Yeah, this new one, because this day we do the information system using the approach. We're not using the other approach because it's not adapt with the new need of the companies or organization these days. Okay. So in this chapter, we cover a number of questions. The first one should be about the business process and how it impacts or determine the information systems, and based on that, how can we define it help with the definition of the software application, and something regarding the business process management, information system development, and software development. Okay, and in the two common approach, we will talk about for software development or information system development here, or the software development life cycle. And the second one is Scrum. Okay, and then we talk about the future, what happened in the year 2027. By that time, we know that there's something more new, even if, with the help of the new technologies. And then what should we do? What can we do at that time? And then what we need to more in order to make the information system possible for the organization. So here, first of all, we talk about the business process and compare it with the and related it to the information system and information system development. All right. So why should we mention about the business process here? Because remember in the earlier chapter, chapter 2, 3, 4, right? We talked about how the business process determines, right? How the business processes determine the information system, right? By that time, we learned that the business process is a sequence of activity, right? And then in order to support the activities for a given process, we need the information systems. Okay, we may need one or more information systems to support the business process step by step. And then we were also talking about how the information systems help, for example, with the process of checkout. Right, it's a very simple process, and it's very popular for e-commerce for commerce organizations. Okay, so here you see that we have a process. Okay, this process is about the shopping. Okay, that support the customer placing an order. Okay, so the process consists of a number of steps here. From the business process side, you can see it, right? What can happen? What happens when a customer comes to order something? They need to join in the system. After they're done with the check-in, like validation, or checking the user, the customer, and then we check for the stock, right? Because the customer asking for some item, we need to check if the item is still available, right? So that's check the stock. And after done with that, assuming that we still have the item in the store, and then we can go next to the step. In this step, we will do checking the customer credit. Okay, like making sure that the customer have money to get the item, and then after done with that, and then assuming that it's done, everything is okay, and then we go next to step. The next step will be about the placing the order, right? Placing the order. After placing the order, we need to go next step in order to deliver the item to the customer address. So maybe the customer get the item right away at the store, or maybe they come to the store to pick up. So that's done. That's very fast, easy. In the other case, because the customer do something like by phone, by mail, or online, and then we need to process and proceed to the next step, where we try to deliver the item to the customer. So this is from the business management side, right? We do a process in order to support the customer with ordering something from the store or from the business. So now from the other side, with the support of the information systems, what happens? Remember that every step in the business process can be supported or cannot be supported by the information system. So here, luckily that we have every step supported by the information system. So how can the information system help the business process here? First of all, during the step of checking the customer checking, we have the CRM, right? CRM. You can help with that. And then after done with the customer checking, we go next to the item checking, right? Stock checking, and then we need another system in case, because now the customer relationship management no longer be able to check the item in the store because that's not its job, right? So we go to another information system. So this next one should be about the inventory information systems. So this will manage everything in the store. Okay, so in order to check if an item is still available, we need the help of this information system. Okay, and then next, after done with the stock checking, and then we go next to customer credit checking. So in this step, we need to have the system that work with the customer credit check. It's simply like a system from the company, or maybe a system from a third party. For example, from the online payment or on the bank companies, right? They help us with checking whether this customer have enough money in the account in order to get this item, right? And after we're done with this, we go to the next step where we need to deliver the item to the customer. So we may have a shipping information system. Okay, shipping information system simply like help us with tracking everything regarding the item packaging, like item shipping, or even if with the item returning. Okay, because after we ship out the item to the customer and they may be happy or not, in case they're not happy with the item, they may return the item to the store, right? So in case they return the item to the store, the shipping information system here should help the customer with that, right? For example, sending out a mailing label, right? In order to help the customer to ship the item back to the store, the mailing label will be stick on the item, okay? And then some shipping company will come to pick up it, right? To pick up the item. So here we can see that even a business process, right? Here, the one from the business side here, even a business process, we may need one or more information systems, right? So in such case, we can say that there are many information systems, right? So that it depends on the uses of the information system in an organization. Maybe they do have all the systems they need, like this, and then we can say that all the work on the job can be done with the help of the information systems. But in some other case, right, for some companies or organizations, they don't have they don't have the CRM information systems, or they may have no shipping information system. In such a case, they should have some human agents to stand here or here in order to solve a problem, right? So in this case they do it manually. Alright, so keep in mind that given an information, given a business process, we may have zero or many information systems, right? And that from the other side, given an information system, it should be a part of a business process. Okay, sure, because the organization will not install or set up any information with no help, okay, no use. Okay, so that's the relationship from the information system to the business process. Each information system should always support a business process. Okay, there are no way for them for the information system with no help. No. Okay, so that's the one we first thing we can observe for the relationship among business process and information systems. And then next, remember that each information system will be a software or a set of software program, right? So for an information system here, remember they may have one software program or they may have more software programs. Okay, so that's some like first thing we can see about the relationship among them. It looks like the relationship we talked about when we talk about the model. Okay, the model of the database used in the business. And then here we use the search model again, but for business process and information systems. Okay. So that helps us to figure out something. And then here in summary, we can see that among the business processes and the information systems, you can see something. Okay. And then among the information systems and the software application, we do see other things, okay, and then how they related to each other. And then again here, remember each business processes and information system, they may do have the relationship may like n and n. Alright, so that means given a business process, it may have like 0 information system related or many information systems related, okay, to support. And in vice versa, we have each information to support at least one business process, but each information system may support multiple business processes. Alright, so that's the first thing we can observe here. And similarly, information system and software application, again, each information system may have one or multiple application, software application. Okay, and each software application may support one information system or may support multiple information systems. Okay, so that's something we can observe here. All right, and then okay, so in order to work with the business process, with the information systems, and then with the software applications, we do have some approach. Okay, so we do have some approach. Here in this chapter, we talking about some method or approach in order to manage them. First of all, we have the business process management. So if you are MBA, we learn about the business process or project management here, and you can see that business project management simply like to manage the project in the business. Okay, so if you are a student from business side or from management, you know this is your job, right, to manage the business process in the business organization. So business process will be managed by this guy. Okay, and then furthermore, we talk about the business process. We always talk like we only need to improve the business process in order to make the organization or the company work better, to serve the customer better. And then we need to re-engineering, right? Last time we say how to improve the business process. We need to restructure it. We need to customize the result of the process. So that's why we use some approach from the other side. I mean, like from computer science, we have a method of Scrum here. Okay, so Scrum here is simply like a method to help with the business process optimization. Okay, so for the business process, we may use D tool and D tool in order to help with the business process improvement, design improvement. Okay. So for the information system, we use in order to design methods and then to maintain a method, we can have the methods from the software development life cycle. Okay, so here this is the check one, the check mark, but we don't say it here because of a problem with the fonts. So here the new approach for the software development or also for information system development, here the Scrum. So remember, the software information system will be developed using either this approach or this approach. And similarly here we have the software application can be developed using either the software development life cycle or the Scrum approach. Then we will talk about them, all of these approaches later. Okay. So now that's about the approach to deal with the problem of the business process management, software development, and information system development. Okay. So now this is the entire picture of what we just talked about, okay, in the organization. So first of all, when the business doing the business or run the business, we have to manage the business process. Okay, so this is the first thing we always have when starting a business. Okay, so here, business process that determines the way we do business, right? Or even define the service we offer to the customer. So this is very important. The first part is this one. And then after we have this, and then we want to improve the business activity, right? And then we think about how to have the information system to support business process. So that's the next step we do. Okay, always the next step we do. Because now we think how to help business better, to serve the customer better. And then this one we talked about, right? And then because we have this guy, we need the software, right? Because like we said before, each information system will have like one or multiple software application, and then we talk about the application development. So this is because of the information system. We should talk about the application development. So all of this job will be done in the organization, require the people to do it, right? So first of all, for the business process and business process management, we need to do what with this? We need to design it, right? Because like we do start, we need to define the service we have, right? How we run the business. So all of this need to be determined by the time we starting with the business. So that will be done by the business analyst. Okay, this is a guy from the business side. He have a very good knowledge about the business and business management. Okay, so, and he the one to determine how to run the business. Okay, he help with that. So this guy is very important, and then most of you guys in future will be this guy. Okay, you know what to do. Okay, and how to improve it for the business process. Okay, so the first class or first group of people to be responsible with the business process management will be business analyst, right? The next will be the group of people to be responsible for information system development. Okay, such people are the systems analysts. Okay, systems analyst. Okay, so here you can see the term, the word and the term here. I want to remind you about this. The way we use systems here, systems with S, right? So here we only this. We don't have system analyst. That's weird, because when you say like that, that means you talk about some guy working on a specific system, and then that's it. That's not professional, right? That's just a very particular case and particular guy, right? So in such a case, you use a system with an S, will mean like this. But now we talk about a group of people who are able to analyze any information system to be used in the business. They have very good knowledge about the systems. Alright, so systems as mean different. Be careful with that, okay? So in Vietnam, people usually have problem with using this term. So like when you talk about the MIS, okay, we talk about the MIS, that means management information systems. You should have the S at the end, alright? So if you write down MIS in full, you need to write management information systems. So in Vietnamese we say like when we translate into Vietnamese we say that hệ thống thông tin quản lý, right? Quản lý. But in Vietnamese we say about hệ thống is very wrong. If we translate that MAS correctly, we need to say hệ thống học, hệ thống học, not hệ thống, okay, hệ thống học. So S here that means somehow like hệ thống học. Alright, if you say system, that means hệ thống, a specific one. That's not a science, that's just a case. Right, so be careful with that. So when we write MAS, we need to write down like that. I saw the class, we have this course, MAS, right, but in fact it's not MAS, it's just information system management. Okay, but if you want to talk about MAS, you need to write down MAS to be like management information systems. Okay, so be careful with this. Right. Okay, so that we just talk about a group of people working on the analyzing of information systems. Okay. So next will be like a group of people we make to make the software for the information systems. So such a group of people will be responsible for everything like coding, database designer, tester, right? Hardware specialist, or maybe the IT specialist, okay, or the systems analyst, okay. All such people working together. Why system analysts join this group? Because besides designing the system, he also needs to join this group in order to help the programmer, the designer, or the tester to know how to do the job correctly. Okay, how to do the job correctly. So you can say that systems analyst here is have many jobs to do, right? Even if they join first in the second group here, but also join the third group here. Okay. So all of these people we work together in order to make the information systems possible in the business, in the organization. Okay. So that's the very the whole picture about the everything regarding the business process, information system in the business. Okay, so now we go back to for more detail about the business process. So what's to do with the business process management? Why should we need the certain management for the business process? Okay. So remember, business process is simply like a set of activities, right? Together with the resource, right? And then the role or the activities in order to accomplish some specific job, right? Some specific business function, right? So that's the business process. Like the function of having people with the ordering process, order process, or having them with the returning process as well, right? Or having them with the how to use the product effectively. So all of such process or business process, they define the activity, the step by step, the role of each step, and then the resource to be used to support. Okay. So in the business process, we usually talking about the activity, right? Which task we should be done, and then the where it come from, right? The source, maybe the people or the application, like related to the activity or the role here. And also the order is very important because step by step in which order we cannot do the next one before the previous one. Okay, so they should be in the order, and then that order defines the data flow, right? Because when going from one step to another, we have the information from the first one will be the data for the next one and the next one and so on. So we have a data flow moving from the activity to activities. Okay, so that data also help with the definition of the information system process later. So why should we need a better management for the business process? Remember, before we have a slide talking about business process improvement, right? So why should we improve the business process? Why should we have to do this? And then the answer is yes, because now with the help of the new technology, right? With the help of the new technology and also the customer needs change every day, so we need to improve the business process in order to make the new technologies also with the new need from the customer. Okay, so customer always ask more if you don't change. And then remember we learned about a lesson of the blockbuster, right? Okay, so we always need to improve it. And then we also know that in order to improve the business process, we can use either of the two approach. The first one is to re-engineering, restructure of the process. So that means you can redefine the activity or the role in the process, right? We can define the order and the way they work together one by one, okay? Or even define the resource of the process. So maybe we require like less people, more information systems, or we may define less information system, more people, right? So that depends. But the trends these days are require less people, more information systems. Okay, so like last time I told you that now in order to collect the customer information, we require less from the customer but more from the information system. So the customer simply like log in, providing their customer ID, and then the rest will be done using the information system, because the information system can check in the database with a given customer ID. It know who is the customer and where the customer lives, right? Or how about the customer credit as well. So everything will be done more from the information system side, not the people side anymore, right? So improvement of the business process is only a must these days, because we need to catch up with the new technology, new emerging technologies. Right? We do have a number of examples here, like market and product line, supply chains, community policy, community organizations, international, like business environment change, a lot of things change, right? We already talking about this, so you can check this example if you want to. We're making making us the example of on how should we need the business process management improvement. Okay, so how to do business process improvement? We do have 4 stages, okay, of the business process cycles. So usually when we place a process, right, we set up a process, we do one by one by implement the process, set the process, right? That means we check how the process works, and then we may modify it, re-engineer it, right? And then we can verify a thing, okay? And then we then implement the process again, and then keep assessing it, and then remodel it again, and then recreate the components again, and so on. So you see, these are the steps will be looped, okay? Will be iterated forever whenever we want to do the business process. Okay, so that helps the process turn out to be better. But here you see that how can we do re-engineering the process. We may use some like help from the information system. Okay, remember that. Or by like last time when we learned when we talk about the business intelligence, BI, right? We know that the system that can help with the business analysis. Okay, and then through that we know how to improve the business process in the organization. Okay, so this somehow look like a process of the software development. Okay, so you do something, you test in it, right? When you do something, you need to validate it. Okay, and then you need to revise it. Okay, and you need to deliver a new version. Okay, a new version of the process, and so on. We keep doing that all the time. Okay, and when we design the business process, we need to use some flowchart model, right? So here with the chart flowchart we need to use. We have some syntax, okay, that defines that will be used in the flowchart. So the first one will be the syntax for the start one, the syntax for the end one, the distance, the data, the activity, and also for the string as well. So we have many like tool stuff like this in order to describe the activity we may have in the business process. So in the business process we may have many activities, and then they can classify into the activity of the start, the activity of the end, the activity of making some decision, the activity of providing some data, or some other thing as well. So we have something like this. So come together, we put in a flow of the activities. We call this the flow chart. Okay, so for example, we have an order process. Okay, so what happens with the order process is may go through different departments. So here in the business, we let the process running through many different departments. So here on the column you can see is the workplace or the department. Okay, and then the process step by step like this. They don't give the start out, but here you can see the step, and here is a decision, yes or no, in order to go where, or blah here. So here checking the something, right? And then if yes, go this way to process this one, or no, go this way, go to process this one. So this simply like describing how the process runs, right? How it does the activities, like given a condition or the situation. Okay, and then the activity can be done across multiple workplace or departments. So you can see sometimes the process is so complicated because it runs like through multiple departments in the organization, but sometimes it's just run into one department. Okay, so this is a model for the business process. We may have many different other ways to describe the business process, but this is very popular because it's based on the functionality. Okay, the process based on the functionality. So here we have another process. You can see here this is the process for customer credit check. Okay, so the checking process will go through many different steps or activities, and maybe using some data as well, right? So you have the process like this. So whenever you try to improve a business process, you need at first to like write down, okay, the business model, the ACEDnet business process model like this, showing how it works, and then after that we analyze it. So doing business analysis in order to improve the process, like cutting some people resources, and then putting more information resources, or also reduce the number of the steps, right? So all of such things we usually do in order to improve a given business process. So that is about the business process. Okay, so that will be done by the business manager. Okay, will be done by the guys who know about business management and also who know clearly about how to run the business. Now we talk about the software, information system development. Okay, so for the information system development, we will have some order job to do, and that is therefore require the people not only from the business side but also from the computer science and information systems side, right? So before we going on move forward with these software development, we will have some quiz, right? So now I will be sending some quiz. Right, and then one more question. So those are two questions for the first session in the chapter 12, and then we will now we go back to the chapter 12 for the last session, for the second session, and then we will have some more quiz for this chapter as well. Okay, so now back to the system development session in the chapter 12. So like I said, in order to have the information system in the business, we need to do the job like setting it up, right? Or have it set. So we call that the system development. So how to do it? So system development, like software problem solving as well. So it should have the step by step, like for problem solving, we also have like problem definition, right? Problem analysis, and solution design, and solution implementation, and solution evaluation, and then we go back, right? Whenever we show a problem, we follow the step, those steps one by one like that. Okay, so in the information systems development, we also have similar steps. So what we should do for information system development in organization. First of all, we need to define the problem. Okay, so here we define the system. We define one system. For every system, we need to define it first. Okay, so first of all, we need to define systems. How can we do it? We simply look around, right? So using some analysis methods, we check around to see what the business or the organization needs, and then we define how the system look like in order to support. Okay, so once we have the problem, we go further with the problem analysis. Okay, so how to do the problem analysis here? Here in the information system we have system analysis, right? So this step we call system analysis. Okay, so after we have system definition, we go to this step, system analysis. So in this step we determine more specific the requirement of the system. Okay, the requirement of the system. So we need to list out everything, right? What should we do for the system in order to meet the business needs, right? So after we done with this, we have a list of the work job to do, and then we go next to design the solution. So in this step, the next step will be system design. Okay, system design. So in this design step, we need to define the system components and how they work together. Okay, in order to do the job required by the organization. So here require us using many different approach, but like last time we learned, we need the system thinking, right, approach methods in order to do it. You need to put everything in a system, right? And no component to be isolated. They should be in the system and working in order to support other components. So that's the way we do for system design. So after we have the system design done, we have a plan to do. Right? Most it's very described explicitly everything to be done and how to do with that. Okay, and then we go next to the final one. This is maybe considered like almost done with the system. This is the system implementation. Okay, so in this step, we do the system. We may like use some program developers in order to code to make the software for the system. We may also need some like tester in order to check if the software was like done properly, okay. Or we may also need to check if the input and output per the organization request are done accordingly, right? So everything we do here in order to have the system work correctly, properly, per the organization request. And then we training the user, okay, the people try will be take part in the system. And this step we can say like the final one step in the system development life cycle. And then after that, like we said with the business process, we also need to maintain the system, right? So the system maintenance simply like manage the running of the system and also checking if there is any problem, and if the problem exists, we need to solve it again, and then we go back to the system redefinition, system reanalysis, system redesign, and system development. Alright, so we always keep doing that forever whenever we run information system. So it looks exactly like when we do with the business process management. System information system development do the same way, but different in the content, right? Because they are different things, so they should be done differently for a different job. So that's the system development life cycle model. Okay, the model we use when we deliver an information system in organization. You should know that. So again, here it's very easy to remember. Whenever you have problem, you need to define it, right? And then we deal with it, analyze it, and see how to respond with it. So that means design, and how to make it possible. So that means we implement. And after that, we have result, the solution, right? And then we need to check and make sure that the solution works on the time. So we need to maintain the solution. And if there's something happen, it doesn't that we didn't know before, okay, or a new thing coming up, we need to redefine the information, the problem, right? And then we redesign the problem, redesign the solution, and redesign the and implement the solution, okay, and then so on the time, okay. So it looks very simple, and then I think we need to describe more about that. But remember, step by step, for the first time, we need to identify the problem. We need to base on the business need. Okay, remember. Always, when we start an information system, we analyze the business needs. Okay, what they need. Okay, we don't do the thing they don't require. Okay, and then that's where we can define the problem or define how the system look like. So the first step, system definition, is all about the need of the business. And then after that, we do analysis. So the next step will be the analyzing of the requirement. Okay, the next step will be the analyzing of the requirement, and so on. All right. So in this step is very hard because we work closely with the business manager and the user, the one who right from the business side, working with the system in the future, making sure that the problem should be understood from both sides, so from the business side and from the information system side. Okay, so it's very hard, but we should have it done properly. And after we have the system definition, we can go next with the system analysis. So in this step, we simply analyze the requirement from the business side. So the requirement of the organization will be analyzed carefully, so that we make sure we understand, and then make sure that we get everything needed for the next step where we design the solution. Okay, if we don't understand the need and then we design the wrong thing, like when we take a test, if we don't read the question carefully, how can we answer correctly, right? So this is very important. step 2. And after we understand the problem, and then we just simply go to design it. So after we analyze the problem correctly or the system correctly, we can go to design. So in this step, we design the component, right? How they work together, and which software we need, how about the hardware, and then how about the other support tool like database management system, or how we require the people using or control the system in the future. All of this we should be here. And then when we're done with the system design, we go next to the system implementation. So in the step of implementation, we simply like coding, making the system and deliver it. So here in the step of implementation, you can see that we build the system. It's coding the system, making the software, running the test, because when we do software, we should test. Because making software like we make anything, we test to make sure it works. And then also we do some other testing regarding the usage in the real context, right? A real situation as well. And then once done with the system development, we go to the next step to have it installed, right, into the system. When we install the system, that means we set up the software, the hardware as well, and then the internet connection or the network connection that support the software. And finally, we need to train the user, the people. They may from the business side learn how to use the system. Okay, so this is a important step as well. Okay, so every step in the software development life cycle should be done correctly, properly. Okay, and then finally we have a information system run that can help with the business activity. Okay. So it looks very complicated, but for people from the computer science side, we do that every day, every time we have a project, and then it's familiar with the people in computer science, and then from information systems as well, and then those people, the guys from the computer science side and the information system, should have people from business side. Okay, so don't worry about that. If you are a business manager or you are people from business side, whenever you have this problem like information system set up in your organization, you will have help from the people in the computer science side, right? Because the people from computer science side will tell you what to do in every step, and then they should tell you about that because they always need your help. Okay. Alright, so now we know that how to develop the system in the organization. We have a question, right? Because from business people, we always ask when we do the information system development, how long we need, okay, how much time we need for the job done, right? How about the work, okay, how about the business functionality, because making the system might like impact the everything in the business, right? So we only have question like that because we want to have a system installed in the business, but we also need the business to run regularly, right? Normally, in order to do the everyday job, right? We cannot stop the business to have the system done and then we come back to do the business. No, we need to do those things, running the business together with the information system development together. Okay, because I have customers every day, I need to serve them. I cannot stop doing my job but while waiting for the information system. Okay, that's the reason. So asking that question, the computer science side or the people from the information system should answer their plan or the approach for that. So they may show you one of the 4 approach. They may propose to use the pilot approach. Okay, so they not interfere into your system, but they try to implement a copy of the system where they can try the information system they develop, right? So you can do your business and then while waiting for them to have everything done. So that way, this way is more secure, but it's consume more thing, because now we need to set up a demo system for them, right? For testing and checking for developing the system. So this may like some risk, because we expose something for them to work, right? So that's not that's sometimes impossible, but this is the best way to have the customer, to have the people from computer science side and information systems side to have the system developed and set correctly. The other approach is we allow them to join into the system we are using, okay, but let them do step by step. So that means if we done at the first step, we use, and then the guy who developed the system should be working on the second step, right, on the next step, and so on. So we will do the system step by step, phase by phase, okay. So that's better, because we do not need to make a copy of the system to add anywhere to any person, okay, to keep the same thing in one place. That's the second one. Or the third one is we can do parallel, okay. We use the system, and then we also try with the new one. So we have two things, but we use the current one to run the business, and then we try the new one to learn the new system and have the people from computer science side and information system to build a new one as well, okay. So this third approach looks like the first one, but they do two copies of the same thing, and then you take part in the system, so you feel more confident, because as a business manager, you know that everything working, running in the companies is under your control, right? So this make the business manager feel better, because look like they are still able to control everything, okay. So that's the third one. The last one is not using it, okay. It's just an example we can propose to you, but it looks like it's not an approach for information system development. So remember, we usually concentrate on using either of the first three approaches here, okay. So using either of the first three approach, we may have the system developed and set properly, okay. So that's why we can try whenever we want to do the business information system development, okay. All right, and remember the information system have the 5 components, right? We learned before: hardware, software, data procedures, and people. So that means when we design and implement the system, we also need to design the third thing and then implement them as well, okay. So this is more from computer science side, so we just know that we do not need to go deep into this, okay. And once we have the system done, we still need to handle it, we still need to maintain, okay. So system maintenance is a very important job to do when using the information system, because sometimes it doesn't work properly or it doesn't meet the new requirements. So system maintenance will be useful in case the business develop, right? Sure, all the time you run a business and you do more things, right? You extend your business, and then in such case you need the information system to be developed too, to advance too. So that's the system maintenance, okay. All right, so that's about the software development lifecycle and how we use them in information system development. And remember that this approach once very popular, but not these days, because looking at the way we do software with this, you can see it's like a lot of time, right? Because we go step by step, and then each step may take a lot of work to be done, and then until we move to the next step, and so on. The last step will be done only if we have all the previous step done. Alright, and then it takes time to finish the system before using it. And now, for some reason, people or the business cannot wait for that. They need to have the system done step by step and using the system right away at the current state of the art of the system. Right? So we need some other approach. And then here we just have a look at the way we do with the software development life cycle, and then we see that, and then we just need to look at this. Okay, we not go deep into this because it's from computer science. All right. So, like I said, we have multiple phases, okay, multiple phases in system development, right? And that it may require a lot of time if we use the software development life cycle. It may require a lot of time, right? A lot of time until and we can only use it until it every step or every phase is done, right? It's takes time. So it's not appropriate for this day when we need the system right away at either state, right? At either situation. Even though the system is just like the first step, we still need to use it because we want to try it. Then we want to save money, right? Save time. We cannot wait until the last minute, like a couple of months later to use it. So we need another approach for the software development or information system development. And then such an approach will be the new method we're talking about here, right? So what is the method? So here we have another method for that, which is Scrum. Okay, so we have many alternatives to the software development life cycle, and then Scrum is a best, okay, one of the best approach for that. That can help the not only with the business information system development, but also help with the business agility. Okay, that make the business more agile. Okay, more flexible against the change in the market. Okay, so that's why both sides, from business side, business manager love it. From the computer science side, they also love it because they can respond as fast as possible to the requirement from the business. Okay. So the Scrum is simply like a improvement from the traditional approach, the software development life cycle. But the only difference here is it not do the step, do the job by phase like we see, what we saw with the software development life cycle, but it then like each step will be done super fast, right? And then check back with the previous one, and then so on. So it's go to the next step to have a thing done in as some like reasonable scale, and then so the system will be like done by different scale, not different phase. That's the only way to do. Okay, the only difference compared to Scrum with the previous method. So we just simply like remember that with the Scrum, we not like doing phase by phase like with the software development life cycle, but at different scale. So that means for the first phase, it you have the job done by 10%, and it go to the next one. Okay, it's not waiting for like the first phase to be done 100%. No, because it takes time, right, until the next phase to be done. So now with the Scrum, we choose to do the first phase, the very first step, Okay, like having the job done 10%, so that's good enough to proceed to the next step, right? To the next phase. And then in the next phase, based on the analysis of the plan, analyzing plan, it may have this phase to be done like 30%, and it moves to the next one. Okay, so using this approach, the Scrum one, we can have the entire system to be done at some scale, right? Like 30%, 10%, or 50% done. And then we can use the system right away at that scale. And then Scrum will go back to do the first step again, the first phase again. And that's we're done like 30%, and then now we do the next 30% again, or we can do all the rest. That depends on the analyzing plan, right? So the analysis plan will tell everything about how to do at each phase. So by that way we can have the system done step by step. Okay, so with the Scrum we do this thing like more flexible. Okay, and so that's help the business, right? Because they can try the information system right away, and then in case they need to change something, they need to modify something, they can do it because Scrum can help them to do the thing at either phase, at either step. Okay, so the Scrum approach is not only helpful for the computer science side and information system, but also help the business side too. Okay, making the business more flexible, okay, more agility. Okay, so that's the reason Scrum is a preferred and popular approach these days for software development. Okay, so you can see here the Scrum, right? They set up a thing, and then they do how many different steps here. Oh, sorry. And then you can see that they're not waiting until the last minute to have the system deliver, right? But they do some at somehow reasonable scale. Okay, and then have the system done at like 30%, and go back to do the rest. And then the next phase they may have the system to be done at 80%, and then they go back and do again. So instead of 100% for every step, in Scrum we have some house percent, right? Some reasonable percent to have the system done. So it's very good way to have the system done instead of doing 100% super hard for each step. All right. So based on that, you can see the question here is, because now with the Scrum we not like doing like for every step with 100% to be done, but some reasonable scale, right? Some reasonable percentage. So how can we determine when we have everything done? That depends, right? If you focusing on the customer, right? So customer concentration of focusing system, we base on how customer happy, right? How they satisfied with the system. So if they completely satisfied with the system, that means we done, all right? Or we may base on some time restriction. Okay, so even like 12 months to have a project done, but now we run out of the time, so that means we done. No problem, because anyway we always have the system finished at some scale, right? But now because we run out of the time, so we can consider that the system done. That's it. Or we run out of the budget, right? Like we have some amount of money for doing the system, but now we run out of cash, right? We run out of money, and then we say, oh, the system should be stopped here. So we use the system at whatever scale it has, right? So this very important, because at least we have a system. So different from the software development life cycle here. We talked before. Scrum will help us better with managing the system, right? Development, with managing the system development, and then we take no risk because at least we have a system different from the method we talked about before with the software development life cycle. Sometimes we run out of time or we run out of money. We have nothing. If by that time we have not reached the last step, so that's very risky, right? But with this approach we don't have that. Okay, so there's a difference among the two approach. The Scrum one we are talking about now, and the software development lifecycle we talked before. Okay, so from this, from Scrum here, you can learn something even if you are a business manager in the future. So in the future, whenever you manage a project, right? I'm sure that you will learn about the project management because you always do the project with your business. So in case you need to run a project, you should follow this way. Okay, so for using the Scrum approach, okay, do your project by that way. At different scale, at different steps. That making sure that you always have a product, alright? If you don't do that, sometimes you spend a lot of time, a lot of money, and finally you have no products. That's bad, okay? Because now, whenever we do anything, we need the products, we need the output. So Scrum is the only way to do it. Okay. So that's fun with this one, and then I don't want you to go deep into the Scrum. Hopefully in the future, when you have some class about the project management, you will remember about the Scrum. Hopefully you will learn that more, and then that's the way for you to practice more with the Scrum approach in project management. Okay, so how about the future with information system development? In the future, we know that we integrate more emerging technology, including the AI, machine learning, deep learning, and Internet of Things, and so on, right? And the system will have more things to do, okay? More things. It will benefit more things, but also have more job to be done. And with the use of the cloud, right? We will have the web service. We will have the service oriented architecture, right? Service oriented architecture. So we have more tools available out there. So using those tools, we can have the system development faster. Okay, we have it done faster. It does look like now we don't have a lot of tools, but hopefully in the future we'll have more tools, more services from the cloud or from some architecture oriented for services, and then we can have a system, information system done faster, right? So that's the future. And you know what? Now with the Amazon, with the cloud, Amazon has been selling a lot of tools out there. Okay, at the moment we have some tools we can use, but in the future, hopefully Amazon will do more tools for the business. Okay, for business management and business information system development. And by that time, whenever we need to develop an information system, we will save time. Okay, so that's the future. System will come unlike fast. Okay, system will be done fast. Okay, future. And yeah, and we don't know, maybe by that time we have some other kind of model of the information system, and things may be much more different, but at least based on what we have these days, we hope that in the future we will have the job to be done faster. Okay, so that's the future. All right, so far we have talking about the business process and information system development, and then something regarding that, and then we learn a very helpful tool for process for project management, which is Scrum, and then hopefully you guys in the future will learn more about that, to practice more about that. That's it for the chapter number 12 about the information system development. And now we have 2 quiz questions. Okay, and then the next question will come. Please submit your current work. And I will send a question for chapter 12 after the break. Okay, so after the break I will resend 2 more questions. I will resend twice for questions of chapter 12. So now we have break, and we will resume at 9:25. Welcome back. Okay, before we go to the chapter 11, the last chapter of the class, we will have some quiz questions for chapter 12. The first question for first session.